In the last video, I called the bearish divergence on Pepe coin. Since then, we've dropped 20% in price action. So anyone that's holding Pepe coin still, how far are we likely to pull back? Let's dive in. Right, Pepe holders, I know that you've got a strong community. I know you've got a strong following behind you, but when something's in front of me, I have to tell you what's in front of me because it means opportunities. If anyone's a holding Pepe coin during this bearish divergence, you've had, since the top of the divergence, we've had a decline in price of 19-20%. So we've dropped 20% on Pepe coin. Has the bearish divergence played out, and are we still up from here going forward? What we need to do is we need to measure the retracement of how deep this pullback is actually going to be. So we stick our Fibonacci tool on there. Before we do that, let's just go over the divergence for people that didn't watch the last video. You've got a higher high in price action, you've got a higher low in price action, and then you've got a new higher high in price action. You've barely just got a new higher high. How did we know that this was weak? Double tops. How can you measure a double top? So you take it from the wick of the previous high, and then you stick a trend line on there. And if price breaks and closes above, you can see that the price is breached here and the wicks, the sellers, have pulled price back down below this, confirming a double top and starting the reversal of the pullback. So the bearish divergence on the RSI was telling us we'd put in a new high. That started being overbought at this level here. You can see signaling overbought, this green. We've pulled back on the RSI and then we've come back up, and where price action is putting a new high, the RSI has put in a lower high. The RSI measures buying and selling momentum. So we can get clues from the RSI when price action is doing something different. So we got clues that this divergence was starting to play out. So let's measure the pullbacks. Would we be likely to get a 382 retracement pullback? What does a 38.2% Fibonacci retracement mean? It means it's a shallow pullback, a 38% pullback, and it means that the trend is intact and the trend is strong. So is this a likely sticking point, or are we likely to pull back further than this? In my mind, with a divergence like this, we're likely to pull back further. So the 382 is sitting at 0.0 shit ton of zeros, 871. And this is going to be the first area of support. Whether we get a reaction of there, we can just monitor that and assess as we go. If this was going to reverse, price pull back to the 382, we can go back, test a new high, and then what will happen on the RSI is the RSI could potentially put in a new high, hold that as support, and then continue this area for a little while. So less probability that that's going to happen, unfortunately. So we just monitor the pullback and we can wait for a trend break. So if we just follow this down with us, we don't know how deep it's going to be, but we can follow it down. If it's deeper than the 61.8% retracement, I'm not interested, because 61.8 is the golden zone. That's where you're likely to get a reaction. If you're bullish in a bullish trend, we just pull this trend line back down. You can see that nearly coincides with the 618. So we can monitor this pullback and we can monitor the pullback and see what levels that we're likely to stick from. Right, okay, so that's the 38.2%. In my opinion, we're not likely to get a bullish reaction at the 38.2. The next level is 50%, and the 50% level, 50 level, the 0.50 is not a Fibonacci number. It's on the Fibonacci. Price sticks to it. We use it because price sticks to it, and price tends to pull back and get a reaction at the halfway point, the 50% Fibonacci level. And that also coincides, this level here, with the break of the inverse head and shoulders neckline that we got before this break of trend. So these are strong reversal patterns showing that this pullback was limited. This pullback had a bit of momentum behind it, a bit of strength behind it. And then at the 618, we managed to get this, a push up by the bulls, create that right shoulder, and then break trend. And that's where we caught it here, guys. That's where the community caught it in the last two videos. Last video, we called the bearish divergence. The video before that, we called the inverse head and shoulders and the velocity behind the break. So pat yourself on the back if you did get any of those moves. Right, okay, the 618 is sitting at 618. Let's build this in now. 618 is sitting at 0.0 shit ton of zeros, 683. So this is really where we're likely to get a reaction from, this 618. What we want on the RSI is for it to pull back, hold the 50% level on the RSI, and then retest the previous high on the RSI eventually break through, which is showing that we've got a little bit of velocity behind the bulls, behind the Pepe bulls, before we can start creating those new highs. So I'm not going to give you projections for new highs in this video, guys. We're monitoring, we're assessing, and watching how deep this retracement is going to be and how we can take advantage of another Pepe break. So if you did like this video, guys, I've got a playlist full of Pepe coin. Check that out, and I'll see you in the next one.